All right, back again. Going to do another quick video on a Fordson Major drum brake. A few little quick tips, how to access it and all that kind of stuff. So first up, you're going to have to remove the rear wheel on whichever side you're accessing the drum brake. Way too fiddly to try and do it with the wheel on. You're just going to have to pull it off. I've also removed the mud guard, doing some other work, but it does make it a lot easier if you remove the mud guard. Opens everything up, makes it a lot easier. Now I've also removed the foot plate that normally sits here. I've done that this time mainly because I'm doing some repairs to it, but again it just opens things up and shows things. Alright, so once you've got that rear wheel off, you're going to want to remove the cover plate. Pretty straightforward. There's usually 3 little bolts holding it in to the back plate. So again, I'll remove this just for ease of the demonstration. Now, as with all older style brakes and drum brakes, you have to be really careful of asbestos. Well ventilated area, don't blow things out. I previously wiped this down with unleaded fuel and then sponged everything up and removed it appropriately. As you can see, these do pick up a lot of stuff. All right, so we have here our drum, heavy duty. That's what slows the tractor down when the shoes expand. Grab on it. So again, we have here quite a large bolt which holds it in. So again, I've previously undone this as part of the video. So pull that out. Now for this one, this washer was actually quite jammed on. Took a few gentle blows with the hammer to loosen it up. That came. Alright, now again, when you're removing your drum brake, what you're going to want to do is initially, particularly when you're undoing that bolt, is to put the park brake on. Because as you can see, it's moving everything around. Now, because I don't have the rear shafts in, I don't really want those gears moving around too much. So initially, just to give myself a little bit of more control, put the park brake on. As soon as I had loosened this up enough, as you can see, kept it quite tight. Give it a good bit of force, there we go. And once I got to this stage, so there was no friction between the brake shoes and the drum, I took the brake off. So again, pull this off. Oh, heavy duty. That's what it looks like on the side. As you can see where the brake shoes pads have been wearing around the drum as the force is applied and there's friction. Now you're really going to want to try and stop oil getting in here. Unfortunately, the seal between the shaft housing and the or where all the gears are and all the hydraulic oil, that has failed on this one. So hydraulic oil has been leaking into it, and then combine that with dust and dust created by the brake pads, kind of gums things up. And that's why I'm opening this one up, because I had not the best control on it and I wanted to see what was going on. So remove that. Again, quite heavy. Expect to drop a little when you take it off, so make sure you're prepared. Now, as you can see, things in here are quite dirty. Got a lot of really built up muck and grime. So it's all going to need to come out. Now we've got our expander here, and what that does is you wind that in or out depending on the friction you're getting. So if you're driving along and haven't applied the brakes and you've got some friction, what you're going to want to do is contract the pads a little bit so they only touch the drum when you apply the brakes. If you're applying the brakes and you're getting nothing, wind this out a little bit until you start to touch. So if you're having brake issues, try this first before you look at pulling everything apart and pulling springs apart. So generally on drum brakes, you got a primary shoe and a secondary shoe or pad. Primary, secondary. Now what I'm going to do is lean over and apply the brakes a few times. For me, I've had a bit of issues with some of the mechanism fouling up. Mainly around here where the cable comes through. So if you have a look at this, you can see the brakes expanding. They'll touch on the drum, apply friction, and that's how it slows you down. So that's just a quick and dirty video on a Fordson Major drum brake assembly and how to access all the pads in the shoes. These shoes are replaceable. I'll suggest if it hasn't been done for a long time, you do it. Just get rid of any chance of asbestos. Quite easy. You can find them on eBay. Spring kits as well. Really cheap. I think 24 bucks for one set. That's Australian. Yeah, and as well, you can access by pulling all this off as well. Replace the seals on those as well. That's what I'm going to end up doing. But again, this is just how to access the drum brake. And make sure everything's working. Do some minor adjustments if you had to. Yeah. All right. Thanks again. Keep an eye out for the next vid.